Hey Zip, this is a video response to your Sexuality in Comics video blog. Just wanted to say that the last time that I heard any real fuss about sex in comics was during Jeff Johns' first issue, I think, on the Avengers, when he had Hank Pym, aka Ant-Man, shrink down inside his wife and pleasure her, I guess. Um, and I remember there being a big fuss about that, at least on the internet. It never got as far as television or anything like that. But there was some concern about it at that point because it wasn't a mainstream comic that kids might be reading. I think that's really why sex isn't more, or the depiction of sex isn't as graphic as it is as violence is in comic books, because the general public still think that comics are geared primarily towards children, young children. Um, at this point, I don't think you're likely to find many people under the age of 15 that read comics anymore. Um, Most of us, I'm 32 now, and I started reading comics back in 1987. And one of the first titles I read was The Flash, Wally West, and he had a few girlfriends at that point, and I remember in the letter columns that there was some concern by some of the readers that Wally was a womanizer and that he might end up with an STD, um, stuff like that. Um, but in today's market, because the villains have to be so much more powerful, so much more evil, so much more uh, challenging to the heroes, um, that the level of violence has increased. Not so much increased, I guess, but it has become more graphic. That's why you look at a comic like Green Lantern and see people getting cut in half or heads coming off and stuff like that. But nudity and sex are still kind of taboo subjects in mainstream comics, at least. Um, the only vertical comic I read right now is Madame Xanadu, and Madame Xanadu has not often, but it does have naked women, showing nipples and breasts and so forth. Um, I think there have been a couple instances of sex or post-sex scenes, um, post-coitus scenes, I should say. But other than that, I haven't really seen too much sex recently in the last, I'll say, 5 to 10 years in comics. Um, and I don't really read European comics because they're not easy to get here, or they're impossible to get here. Um, so again, I can't really comment on that. But again, in terms of the American comics, um, and again, I'm a DC fan instead of a Marvel fan, but in DC, um, sex has not really been something that's been advertised or depicted very often in DC comics. Not sure about Marvel, but I think again, I think that's primarily because the publisher is concerned that it may cause a fuss among parents if they happen to buy a comic for the kid or sit down to read a comic with their kid and see, a woman bare-breasted in pages of Superman or Batman or something like this. You can't picture Wonder Woman in a sex scene and that going over well with, you know, mothers are giving Wonder Woman to their daughters to read as a comic. So again, there's that. I think it's more of the iconic status of some of DC's bigger heroes that keep sex out of the books while the violence or the level of graphic violence increases in the comics. Again, because heroes need bad guys, and the more devious, the more violent, the more scary the bad guy is. It makes the heroes triumph, triumph more um, more memorable, I guess, more special. But sex doesn't really play a big part in that. It's okay for soap opera stuff between heroes or the hero and his girlfriend, Superman and Lois Lane, which you probably never see. Um, but yeah, I think it's mainly because of the concern that there might be children reading, and their parents more than anything else would get upset with a level of or any sex in a comic book, or nudity for that matter. But that's just my thought. Apologize for the quality of this again because I don't have a desktop computer on at this point, so I'm holding on to it with my hands. So the camera may be shaky, and it's been a while since I've actually made a vlog, so my voice may be shaky as well. But again, those are my thoughts, my 5 cents. So I've been enjoying your videos, by the way, and thanks for posting.